and middle school campus, and then we added a high school in 2010. And so we've had our high school since 2010. It's a dependent charter, so HMSA, and it is one of the top 20 charter schools in the US. So we've done really well with it. We are a very small district, and our surrounding districts are Manhattan Beach, Torrance, Lenox, Lawndale, and there's another Hawthorne, which they call themselves Wiseburn, but it's really in the city of Hawthorne, and they're a separate district. Um, Centinela Valley is our high school district that takes over in our area, and they are strictly high schools. So we've always wanted to combine and do something to where we would take over in that range, but Centinela says that they will sue us if we continue with that process. So they're going to remain a separate district, and we all will remain a separate district because most of the districts are divided by city limits, and so that's we're all in the same city limits. Centinela, Wiseburn, and Hawthorne. Everybody else has different city limits and different city names. So that's a little bit about me. I have one son, 31. My whole family's in education from special education. My sister is a principal, and I have one sister. So that's a little bit about me. I chose counseling. I absolutely love it. I was looking to go into a master's program, didn't know what to do, got this wonderful full-time counselor at our site, and that's when I went into the program and completed the programs. We did a lot of work together, and she did a lot of group counseling, individual counseling in my classes, and so that's where I found my passion. This is what I want to do because the being a elementary school teacher, I did fourth grade, fifth grade, and eighth grade, and it was hard work. So I was like, okay, this is what I really want to do. I liked working on their health, their social emotional, and working through their problems. So I'd like you guys to share out with me, where, if you're in education, how long you've been in education. If you're not, that just helps me to understand how much information I need to share as far as abbreviations, because education has tons of abbreviations. So I just want everybody to be up to date. This is crisis prevention and intervention. So prepare yourself if you have any things that you need to do to protect yourself from any triggers that may happen due to your own personal life. Just make sure that you do that and take care of yourself. I do have to present some information that can be triggering, so it's important that you are aware of that. Anybody want to jump in and get started? Like, why did you choose counseling? And if you're in education, and how long you have been in education.
I'll I'll start.
Thank
Okay.
you.
My name's Michael. I live in Northern California. I am doing my internship at a charter school, which I actually applied for the counseling job yesterday because the counselor went and got another job. So I'm hoping to hear by tomorrow if I got it or not. I absolutely love the counseling so far. Um, I started in education 20 years ago when my daughter was born. I started at her school, just what's the word I'm looking for? Volunteering. I guess
Yes.
volunteering when she was little in
Hmm.
her classroom, and
Hmm.
became a paraeducator and loved working with the kids. And so from there, I got my bachelor's, and now I'm getting my master's.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Michael. I'd like to go next.
Okay, hi. My name is Leslie Larinaga, and I've been in education 25 years this October. I've been an attendance clerk in the Alamani Union High School District,
Yes.
And I actually have my teaching credential for special ed. I got it in 2023, but there
Mhm.
hasn't been any job openings. And so I wanted to get my master's program, and I decided to get my school counselor instead of just in education. I came to school counseling so I could have options. And
Yeah.
since I've been in the office, I enjoy working with the students and like in the one-on-one in the group. It's different than in the classroom. I mean, I enjoyed the classroom when I did that, but I like the counseling part.
Yeah. It's a different feel. Thank you for sharing, Leslie.
Hi
Hey.
everyone. Oh, sorry. Rebecca, it happened again. That always
And every
happens.
single
I'm
time.
sorry.
Going last.
Sorry. Okay. My name is Candy. I've been in education for 3 years now. I've been a substitute teacher for all the grades, all the subjects. Um, I decided to go into school counseling because I feel like I can better support students that way. I've been in the classroom and it's more focusing on instruction, making sure they understand the material, and I would like to better just help them at the root of the problem so they can do better inside the classroom.
Excellent. Great. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name's Rebecca. I've been in education also for a long time, like many of my classmates coming from teaching. So I've been at the same school. I student taught at the same school in 2002, and I've been there ever since. I was hired on as an English teacher. I was in the classroom. And then I'm in Los Angeles Unified, which is a huge district, and we've been through a lot. And there was a point 12 years in where I thought my job was secure, and budget cuts hit us really, really hard. And I was told that my option to stay at my school site that I'd have to. We had a Title III coach, our EL coach was retiring. And I had LTO classes at the time, and so I was told like, hey, if you can interview with the district for her job, then you can take that. And so I never saw myself leaving the classroom. I loved it. I taught ninth grade and 12th grade. But I interviewed for a job and I became our Title III coach, and I was our Title III coach for a while, and I loved that. I like developed all these new skills that I didn't even know that I had, and worked with our EL population and really helped manage a lot of their plans, just not just their academic plans, but also connecting them with resources and getting to know them and their families. And then the funding for that started to shift. And one thing that I had been doing in the last few years when I was our Title III coach was that I had been working with our College Corner around EL, like 4-year EL college and career plans, because we had a lot of gaps like in the systems that we had, and it wasn't really meeting their needs. And so I had started developing that, moved into a different kind of coaching role. So I've been an instructional coach for linked learning for the past 3 years. And that's where I really kind of felt like all of these pieces, and like Candy said, like I loved being in a role where I could focus on kids and not kind of have that pace of the classroom. And so having that, now I'm in I just got hired. I think the funding came through today to be a counselor at my school site on an intern credential, which is very exciting.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's through a specialized grant. So and I'm excited. I'm nervous and scared, but yeah, so transitioning out of coaching into counseling. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
I'll go next because I do it. My name is Latasha. I have been with LAUSD for like 4 years. I started off as a instructional aide in Linwood, working with
Mhm.
SPED kids. I do virtual school now, but I'm on the campus of Washington High School. So I
Yes.
still intertwine with the kids and talk to them. And what interests me in counseling, I talking to the students and the other counselors, I see how a lot of kids was falling through the cracks. or nobody was like really paying attention to them. And I was like, I think I could do this. I really think this will fit because I like helping people anyway. So that's what works for me. Um, I'm a mother of 6 boys. I have a grandbaby on the way. My oldest child is 34. And my youngest just went back to school on Saturday.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Who'd like to go next?
I can go. Hi, my name is Jane. I am not from education. I did something else and I put off. I've always wanted to be a school counselor because my high school counselor helped me a lot and I wanted to reciprocate that, but I didn't want to do more studying after my bachelor's. And I put it off and then now I'm doing it. The only experience I have in education is probably from my field work. I am doing my field work right now at ABC Unified and LAUSD.
Excellent. Thank you, Jane.
Nice to meet
Anna, you want to go?
Yes, hi. So my name is Anna, and I work for Lennox School District, which is very close to Hawthorne. I've been there for 10 years. I am a substitute teacher from TK to 8th grade.
Thank
And
you.
oh, okay, yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I've been thinking of being a counselor for a long time, since maybe like 2018, and I put it off, and finally last year I made a decision to get into the program. And I'm doing my field work at Jefferson Elementary School, and yeah, it's hard. Elementary, it's probably like TK kinder, right? Like right now for the first weeks of school, like a lot of students crying. I wanted to go to class. Like we have to like physically bring them into class, and it's hard. It's hard.
Yes. And
Hi, my name is Anne Seo. I'm actually new to this cohort as well, so hi everybody. I'm actually not in education. I'm actually an accountant of 17 years,
okay.
and a couple of years ago, it was a thought like, so I've always been interested in education. I have a husband who's a high school math teacher, and I have a lot of educators just naturally around me. And it's always been a thought of mine, but I never could give up the comfort. But one day
Hmm.
I thought, I have like 20 years left of work, or, how much ever it is, I want to do something that's more like rewarding and helpful, especially to students. I believe that whatever their age is, whether elementary school, middle school, high school, I feel like they have different needs, and I would really like to try to help them. So I don't know if it's too late, but I've started this journey and I'm very excited about it.
We're happy to have you. Welcome. The more the merrier. Nancy, there's two. Next to
Which one?
Two
I'll go
Nancy.
first. I'm Nancy number two because that one's better than me. I've been in education for a really long time. My other degrees all start with a 19, and I'm getting a second master's degree, and I have always planned to retire early and do something else. And 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to sub for our counselor while she was on maternity leave for a semester. And I decided that this is going to be my something else.
all right.
Telling my supervisor today, I went into that substitute position saying, I'd love to do this, but I'm not going back to school. Well, here I am. And that's about it. I've got grown children, and I've thought about it many times, and the whole idea of taking on another master's didn't sound like fun, and now here I am.
All right. Thank you. Nancy?
So I'm the
Sanchez?
other Nancy, Nancy number two. So I'm actually in Monterey County. I work for the Salinas Union High School District. I've been the attendance clerk at one of their middle schools for, I think I'm going into my 11th year this year. And I wanted to go into school counseling because I ever since I started working in education, I've loved just working and the interaction with everyday interaction with kids. So I want to support them, just through a different capacity, and because I also witnessed from my coworkers how challenging yet rewarding this career can be. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Jacob.
Hmm. Hello, everyone. Um, for myself, what the prompt was, why we chose this again?
Why you chose counseling, and then how, if you are currently in education.
Um, I actually got into education because of this program. So I substitute right now, and I also did have a role last at the end of last year as a behavior interventionist at
Okay.
the Desert Sands Unified School District. I had to reapply for this year. The issue is that they want full time, but I have to also get my hours.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to work on something like that, but I can always go back to subbing. But like I said before, the counseling was always something I was interested in, especially since I really wanted to be in the well, actually, it was something that I always thought I could do, but never thought I wanted to be in education. It's more like that because I wanted to work
Yes.
with people and kind of like, their like the psychology of it all, but I didn't know which direction to take because I was all the way up until general psych. Then that's when I had to
Mhm.
make the decision. And that's when I thought about the youth. I thought about I reflected on my own life, my own experiences where the most changes can be made. And that's right there in that middle school area. So I wanted to be a middle school counselor. If not, then I'll have to be a different level counselor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. Why I chose counseling. Well, I absolutely love to help students. I think, like everybody else has mentioned, there's something really rewarding about it. There's something really weird about me. I really love high school students. I get this look all the time from people, but high school is my place where I'm supposed to be at. I currently am in education. I am the Comprehensive Student Support Coordinator at Rosemead High School for the El Monte Union High School District. I've been there for 9 years. So I'm really excited to take on a counseling position, hopefully. I kind of already do something similar to that work. I have a caseload of 30 students currently that I monitor, ninth and 10th graders. And so I want to continue that work and hopefully help out some more students.
Excellent. Well, welcome everyone to EDSC 561, which is our crisis prevention and intervention course. In this course, you have 4 assignments that are due. You are going to, and some of them kind of span over a couple of weeks. And you have a couple presentations. So you'll be preparing yourself for presentations for our live sessions. So your first assignment is to do case study reflections, and our book in chapters 2 through 10 have case studies, and you're going to be reading over those case studies and providing a 2 to 4 page reflection. So for week 2, which is next week, your assignment is to read chapters 2 and 3. I did do a instructor video already on chapters 2 and 3, highlighting that, so you can take a look at that. And then you're going to take the case study from chapter 2 and from chapter 3, and you're going to write a 2 to 4 page paper on reflecting on those 2 case studies. All right. So each case study is about 2 to 4 pages. So anywhere, 2, 3 pages. It doesn't have to, more doesn't mean, the A, of course. And then you're going to make sure that you explain the case study. You're going to make sure that you write your personal opinion and your discussion about the case study, and then how the case study relates to a school counselor and in the school counseling field, and relate what you have done or will do in the future as far as if you were involved in a similar crisis. Yes, Vanessa.
Maybe I missed it in the beginning. I know there was maybe a wrong date on that assignment. Is there for the due date? It had the date of last week due.
Yeah, it did. It came up on your calendar that way, but if you look at it, it says on your thing, it says September 9th, I think it did.
Okay.
I just changed it though, but it's September. One of them had the due date. It comes up on your calendar as that, but the actual everywhere it was written, it said the right date. So it just came up on your calendar because I inputted that in. So you would get reminders and you got it. So it's working. But I just corrected it. Latasha let me know that as soon as she came in this into class. So I've already fixed that. Your second assignment is our risk assessment practice and procedures, and this is due week 4. And so you're going to be given a scenario, which is at the bottom of the page, and you are going to conduct a risk assessment. We'll be talking about risk assessments, and you're going to develop a plan to address the crisis, okay, from beginning to end. And then you're going to put all the steps in your paper. And that will be, it doesn't have a length on that one. So just making sure that you have all the steps from beginning to end, from the point of like when you were informed of the crisis, what did you do? How did you take the student? How did you protect the student? All the way to the student either returning back to campus or whether the student remained on campus. So we'll go through that. Make sure you're in APA format, and then you have to have your citations as well for those. Assignment number 3 is your group project, and I already sent out the group list to you in your email. So take a look at your group members, exchange. We'll have time this at the end of class today to kind of meet and make sure that you start that process. So we only have 3 groups. There's 4 people in each group. That's a total amount of 12. So we're going to be looking at the case studies again in chapters 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you guys are going to go ahead and provide a 10 to 20 slide presentation about the different case studies. So remember, you don't want all words. You kind of want directions and things of maybe maps, maybe graphs, maybe, whatever you can come up with to highlight that particular case study. And then 4 references, with the book being one of the 4 references, and you're going to present that. So that's going to be presented during our week 7 live session. Okay. Your final assignment is due week 8, but we're going to talk about it in week 5. So in week 5, what you need to do is come to class with with a school or district's crisis plan. Okay, and I'll showing you mine today. So I'll show you where we house ours and how to download it. So you need someone in a school setting. So Anne, you mentioned that your husband works as a math teacher, so that'd be a great start for you because you do need someone who can get access to that school plan. And then it is a large plan, anywhere from, 30 to 60 pages. And that plan, you'll need it from beginning to end to be able to bring it. And then you're going to look at it, and then you're going to create 4 essential questions on the prevention, preparation, response, and recovery. Okay. And so you'll ask questions in regards to those phases. And then it asks you to interview people. They ask you to interview at least 3 people, and they have some examples: administrator, psychologist, nurse, teacher, custodian, anybody involved at that school. So you want to be able to have access to those people. And then you're going to write your paper regarding the district plan. And, the important parts, critique the plan, what needs to be done. And then there's some sample plans from other states that serve as a model as well. So you can look at other states' crisis plans and see if yours is lacking things, needs more information. That's the kind of critique that you're looking for that final assignment. Okay. And of course, that's APA format as well. It's going to be 5 to 7 pages because you're looking at a document that's anywhere from 30 to 60 pages. And you're going to upload that in Canva. Okay. Any questions so far about your 4 assignments? All right.
Well, actually, I do have a question about an assignment just to verify. It is assignment number 2, that's due on September 19th, and that's like a Friday, not a Sunday. And usually the assignments have been due on Sunday. Is that one different?
No, it should be due on, what was I looking at that I thought that the 19th was on a. You are right. It should be the 21st.
Okay. And the first one is due this Sunday on the 31st, right?
No. The first one is due on the 31st. Yeah, you said this Sunday, and I'm like, no, this Sunday, but it's not the 31st. Yeah, it's due on the 31st. I'll go ahead and change that too. That should be actually due on not the 19th, but it should be due on the 21st. So I'll go ahead and change that. Yes, Vanessa?
I did have a question on assignment number 4. I'm still a little confused when I was reading through it as far as like the formulating of the questions portion. Can you explain a little bit more about that part?
You're just gonna create questions, what you think might be to like what questions do you have after reading it? Like, is it
Got it.
clear? Do you not, is it easy to follow?
Got
Is
it.
it so? Because if someone is supposed to know how to implement this plan, then is it clear in all the areas?
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
From beginning to end, from all the preparation to the post-vention.
Got it.
Right. And the questions are just so that you can kind of start to design the paper that you're writing. So if there's anything in it that you don't understand, those would be questions that you would probably ask me during our week 5 session. So that when you're going into go ahead and you're going to include your interviews. You've got 3 people that you need to interview. So the paper will kind of come together really fast and you'll write it yourself. Because there's a lot of components to the paper. So getting the 5 pages is going to be pretty easy. All right. All right, so we're talking about what is a crisis intervention. All these slides are on your syllabus, so I'm just kind of going over. I'm not going to read all of the slides, but just the purpose, the reason why we have crisis intervention and prevention, and how we're trying to protect our students, our families, our community that our schools are in. A crisis is a temporary event or condition that affects the school, causing the individuals to experience fear, helplessness, shock, and horror. So, some of the recent ones that we've had down here in my area, in the LA County area, we had the fires that affected Palos Verdes area, and then we also had the fires that affected the Pasadena School District area. And so, with the fires kind of burning out those complete areas and homes, and schools the same. We saw the reopening of Palisades High this school year, and they're reopening in the old Sears building over there in Santa Monica. I used to work there. So, and one of the challenges that they have in the reopening is the cost, so they weren't even able to put doors on the rooms. And they've done all the remodeling to the place in order to be able to have the students in until their high school has been rebuilt. And it has some challenges there. So we've got facilities issues, we've got the students being displaced. We have people who lost their homes that probably are in a completely different district in the meantime. Um, with traffic in LA, it's almost virtually impossible to get if you don't live in the, surrounding areas. If you have to travel, if you had to move down to Manhattan or Hermosa, which is closer to us, getting back to Palisades would be almost impossible. So I know people have had to change schools in their latter years. We have to think about what the seniors experienced. Like in COVID, the seniors in many of the schools didn't have a normal senior send off, and likewise, these students in both Pasadena and the Palisades also didn't have a normal send off because they were displaced and lost their homes, and you know, um, hopefully didn't lose family members, but not being able to move forward. So um, there are phases of a school crisis preparedness, and we have phase one, which is our prevention, which is allows us to avoid, deter, or stop any imminent crime or threat that actually that has actual mass casualties. So we think about this when we think about our active shooters. What is our way of locking the active shooter out? That's why we have active shooter drills at this time so that we can stop the crime before we have mass casualties. Likewise, with some earthquake, fire on campus, we still have our natural disasters of flooding in the area. Those are all threats to mass casualties. So we're trying to eliminate as many casualties as possible. Phase two is protection, which is the ability to secure the school against the Violence Act. So again, this is why we have the lockdown procedures. We have, the shelter in place. And we go through these processes and practice them in order to make the students react in a kind of a automatic way to be able to help them. And I think we've had a couple of lockdowns last year, and it's really hard to get the outsiders because to react. We had parents on campus at one time during a lockdown, and they were like, I don't want to be here. It's like, it's not an option. We're on a lockdown. And for us, it's a lot of activity in the area. It's just the area may not be safe at the moment. And so we're locking them down to protect them. And then protect our students from losing any family members that's waiting for them as they're outside and getting ready for dismissal. So we want to focus on ongoing actions that protect the students, the staff, the visitors, the network, the property, and anything that could be hazardous. As I talked earlier about the fires, LAUSD has to recover significantly because you're talking about an area, but then there's so many schools in that area. And then Pasadena is its own city, and it has its own school district. So it also has to figure out how to, manage. Now, I'm sure that they lost a lot of their computers and networks and things for the schools that were destroyed in the fire. And so how do they get the money to put that back quickly and service their students? We saw in both cases the students went to virtual learning really fast, but how fast were they able to get the materials out? We saw this again in COVID. COVID was another situation in which we had to figure out how to educate our students the best way possible after not having had that experience at all. Phase 4 is response, the ability to stabilize an emergency once it has already happened and it is not preventable at this point, and we need to establish safety and security for our entire environment and to save as many lives as possible. So again, this is when we're thinking about our natural disasters, and we're thinking about our properties. I mean, just how can we quickly, it's already happened. So now how can we minimize the loss of lives? And then recovery is assisting the school to that's affected and getting them back to restoring the learning environments. So when we're talking about prevention, we're talking about awareness. What are we hearing? What are we seeing? What are we missing if we're not hearing and seeing? What do we know? Where can we get more information? So we have like a tree system in my school district. It starts with a principal. If the principal's not on campus, we all do texting, and then she may be able to get back to campus, maybe not. And then she kind of hits the district office at that point, and the district office has its own triage system. And then they send as many people over depending on the circumstance. We had a lockdown situation where we had active shooters in the area, and my back door is the front door to another one of our largest elementary schools. So we're just a couple of blocks that's separating us, and we both were on lockdown. So dismissal had to go a different way, and to get them out on time. We weren't clear for the community, but we were clear to come out of lockdown and, get the parents to get the children to their parents. What did we not know, and where can we get more information? So the police department was in direct contact with our director of pupil personnel services. The director came down and kind of housed us and helped to get our dismissal on track. So good assessment never stops. Information is knowledge. Information is the knowledge we have about our school community, students, and visitors, and we gain this information through routines and supervision we do during the day. So we do have a full-time security officer on site who kind of patrols the area and is trained in watching things. I mean, we watch the helicopters, we watch drones, in this day and age, you're watching almost everything. Intelligence refers to secretive information, so it's just how much is going to go out. That's important too. And making sure that we don't have people helping us to get our information out incorrectly, like making sure if we're on a lockdown and we're locking down to secure the community, we don't want all of our parents running through the community where they could be at in harm's way, trying to come and get their children, because it's probably better that they stay apart until the middle part is taken care of. Surveillance, making sure we're hearing, seeing, even smelling anything that's possible, because we can quickly go from one thing to the other. You can start off like an earthquake and then you have a fire. So just making sure we're aware of all of those things, making sure that the students aren't posting inaccurate information that sends a panic across. And another thing is it safe? So we're looking at the micro level and the macro level, making sure that we are getting the correct information and intelligence gathering. So then we're going to do a risk assessment. So who or what is at risk? What are the risk factors and warning signs? How much time do we have? Is the risk immediate? How extensive or serious is the risk damage? So we're going to go through that process. Sometimes my job as the school counselor, as I'm walking around when we were on a lockdown for the shooting wasn't near us, but they were actively looking for a shooter. And so just the outside perimeters weren't safe. So our goal was just to make sure that we were maintaining the perimeters and maintaining the safety of the perimeters because we have people hopping our gates, people get desperate. And so I was going from classroom to classroom because now the signals that are sent to the students are triggering for all of them. So at this point, you want to make sure that you're communicating to the students so they can kind of focus a little bit, and then you can triage the ones that, it might be a trigger for them, and you need to maybe calm them down, give them breathing exercises, and help them to kind of get back to where they can think in case you have to make a quick action, and we don't want them to freeze during that. Phase 2, the protection, is the ongoing approach and routine that safeguards against the violence acts, including terrorism and as well as natural disasters. I think we get so busy today, we forget about having these drills. Like sometimes, especially after COVID, people were just, principals were so busy just trying to get by with getting through the daily process and kind of recovering from the COVID, that they forgot about earthquake, they forgot about fire drills, they forgot about all of that kind of stuff. And so every year you're cycling students. Here we are, we've got, kinders that probably hadn't gone to school since, and they're in second grade. And they don't know how to do a fire drill. They don't know how to do an earthquake drill. So it's just making sure that you are practicing that. And sometimes you get past and you only do one drill. Well, we know that kids know how to act in a fire drill because they've had them for so long. And it's that routine that helps them to maintain what to do and get out as quickly as possible. I'm going to tell you a story. I had a teacher in our last drill. We have a student who falls asleep a lot, and he's very difficult to wake up. So true, she didn't want to leave all the rest of the kids trying to wake him up, but she didn't. She left him in the classroom and closed the door, and she didn't tell anybody. And so we were all outside on the yard, and she said, "Well, he was asleep." And I was like, "What kind of practice is that?" So there's just some it slips people's mind. Like this was just a practice, thank goodness. But she was just like, "But I tried." But I'm like, "You didn't hold the door open, you didn't wave to anybody, you didn't scream out. Anything could, for help, to say like, I've got a student back here, um, and so that's just a quick story of how people can get out of practice of things and kind of not make the best decisions. And it was still just a practice, right? Phase 3 is mitigation, which addresses the different ways in which we might be able to reduce harm or disruption to our community. So just making sure that we're constantly reviewing our safety plan, going over our safety plan, and that each person knows what to do. Do you know your role? I'm assigned a role every single time. And I'm the person, it changes from year to year. Sometimes I'm the community, the reuniting person, and then sometimes I'm the speaker for the campus. So it just depends. And sometimes I have more than one role. In phase 4 is response. So crisis response is answering that question, now what? Because we're past the crisis. So how are we going to support the students? How are we going to bring them back to school? How are we going to make the appropriate connections and reunifications of the children with their parents and making sure that they go home? My book for court orders is about this thick. So in one of these situations, I've got to make sure that the people go home with who they're supposed to go home with, because again, this is the situation in which someone could run away with the child, and they're not going to excuse the fact that we had a natural disaster. I'm still responsible for that court order. We have to be calm. So B is for before you act, be sure you get the facts. C is for for help, communicate the instructions, and collaborate with the responders. It's important for us to know what are our strengths. Sometimes you can't always anticipate how you're going to act in a crisis. And if you are pretty good 99% of the time, it might be that 1% that you freeze, and that's okay. But hopefully you can recover quickly, get back to your routines, and complete the job or the role as a crisis responder, as a part of the crisis intervention team, and do what you need to do. We need to anticipate what would happen next and adjust the plan accordingly. Like, we're looking at what is the disaster, what's happening, and how can we adjust it, because our plan might say to do one thing, but that might not be the safest thing to do. Like ours says to go to our memorial center, but what if the memorial center has already been destroyed? So we have to have a plan B. We need to listen to our audience and learn what they need. So sometimes, our kids are not able to get where we need them to go. So is it the right thing to do? Aim is to manage the crisis and maintain responders. Another thing that happens a lot on campuses. Have you been through your emergency kits? So we have water, we have food, we have all kinds of things back there. But how has it expired? Who's checking for that? Because you don't want to be in the crisis and then all the food is expired, all the water has expired. That's not going to help. So someone has to be making sure that you check that on a regular basis. And I can tell you, in the busy, like LAUSD, which is huge, those campuses have a lot of turnover with principals and sometimes new principals that don't know what to do. So have they gone through that process? And sometimes they're taught what to do in a meeting and then they forget to go back to the campus and implement that. Or they say, oh, where's this? Where's that? And then they say, oh, we checked that last year, but no one's checked it in 5 years. So these are important things to make sure that they've been done. And then we need to modify our plan afterwards based on what we needed. When COVID hit, we came back, all of our food had expired. So we had to spend a chunk of money getting new food and new water. So that's something to remember. Recovery is, it can be of a reflection time. We need to address the psychological and long-term needs for all of the people that survive the crisis. So how long will we need those services, and how long and what will we do to help our students through the process? Learning is not going to take place if we haven't addressed the mental health aspect of it. Have we made sure that our students are okay? Have we made sure that our families are okay through this crisis? Some questions that we can ask during the recovery stage. How can we restore the school facilities if they were damaged? Obviously, LAUSD went through this entire process, and it's going to take us some time for them to get money back from other entities in the federal government to really rebuild where they need to rebuild. And as we know, everything is expensive. So a lot of people won't just build just for free. How can we help the people recover a sense of psychological safety? So we saw that with COVID. We saw all of our attendance rates drop tremendously right after COVID. So even though we had the vaccines and we started opening up the campuses, we'd open, close, open, close. We still had for 3 years, even after we were open for 2 years, our attendance rates were disastrous. Anytime anybody had a cough, anytime anybody, either the teacher wanted the student at home, the parent kept the student at home. I think we've always traditionally had attendance rates of like 95, 96. We dropped all the way down to 82 because people were just like, I'm not coming. I'm sorry, I'm just not coming. And ISIS is, kind of giving us that same feedback. Like a lot of people are like, I'm not coming out. So we're seeing our attendance rates being, and that's something that's happening in our communities. So it's not really happening at our school sites, but our communities and our children and families are being affected by it. Oh, and then it talked about the anniversaries, of the crises. Sometimes different schools want to revisit it and have reminders, especially of the people that were lost. So during our recovery stages, the teachers, the psychologists, the counselors, all the mental health professionals, play a key role in making sure we support and reassure that the members of the community and the families are healthy. We started doing wellness checks. I've always pretty much done them my whole career, but not in large amounts. So now I'm doing wellness checks. I might see the kid. I might say, "Oh, the kid was healthy, but the mom didn't look okay, or the guardian didn't look okay." So I will take my social worker out along with my behaviorist and then maybe an SRO, and we'll go out and we'll knock on the door and we'll see what type of services that the family might need. Because many times you'll find that it could be just as simple as postpartum depression. It could be as simple as a mental health disorder. The kids are fine, but the parents aren't. So, that's why the kids aren't coming to school. That's why, so they need support too. So we connect them up with support in our community and make sure that they're okay so that they can take good care of their own children. We have parent meetings. We have community schools. We wrote that grant last year. We're on year 3 of community schools, and it was a 5-year process where each one of our schools received 1.2 million. And with that, we got washer and dryers for the foster and the non-permanent address students. We have a resource room where we're providing all types of family resources for mental health. We're doing activities for the kids, art, kite making, just anything we can think of to bring kind of that the school is the community, and this is where we're building, and this is a safe place, and this is where you can be. I did art therapy through my mental health agency. She put on 3 things for parents only, because again, if the parents aren't okay, then the children aren't going to be okay. And I also became a certified yoga teacher during that process through the community schools grant, to bring yoga onto the campuses. When we get together as the crisis team members, we have to face the hard questions and figure out what are the true answers to them, what happened, how and why did it happen. Recently, we lost a student at the high school to suicide, and it was very clear. He was very clear as to what he was going to do, and he had been struggling with mental health. He also told the family is Muslim, so coming from a different cultural background with that, but he was open, honest, and about his sadness, and then he took his own life. Again, it's like, was the incident preventable? Was the response effective? We've seen this with some of the other crises around the United States. Uval was the last one in Texas, where the response team did not follow any of the the practices that had been discovered through the active shooting process. And so the response time was way longer than it should have been. And so that was some of the mistakes that they made. And then how can you improve, and what lessons can we share? I'm interested in watching the new documentary that came out on that. So this is our evaluation phase of recovery. So we're trying to overlook any of our normal duties and try to see who needs a crisis, who needs the crisis team. We need to serve as evaluators and sift through the data so that we can respond to damages and cost and written records, and then the perception of those within and outside of the response team. So, as team members of the crisis response team, we need to be attentive and reduce the risk of a secondary stress reaction, which can be very common, and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well as our team members and anybody who may have suffered any direct psychological consequences. So the goal of all of the phases is to be prepared. And here are some what if questions that we can ask at this point. Do we have the authority to respond to the crises? What are we allowed to do or directed to do? And then how will we mobilize internal and external resources? So one of the things that has come up significantly within our community is many of our, many teachers, families, they have their own families to get to. So if we're thinking of a natural disaster, who's staying back? Who's staying with the kids that are left there? Or how many people are going to need to go home and care for their own family members? Some people are caring for their older parents, so they may not be able to stay ongoing. The minute that people can be released, they need to be released, and they may not be able to return. So we want to be, how will we respond to restore safety and security? How will we communicate internally with the school district and externally with others? You'll see that each, in the crisis plan, that there are phone trees to get the team mobilized. And so that's a process that's used. And then what would our students, parents, employees need from us? So what type of extra things do they need? So we just need to be prepared. That's what this basic part is telling us, the importance of us being prepared, knowing where the plan is, knowing how to find the plan, knowing if you're on the crisis team, and as a school counselor, you will always be on the crisis team. What's your role? Do you know your role? And then if number one, number two is knocked out, who's number three? It might be you. So then you have the heavy burden because you might be in charge until someone else from the district can come and be there to relieve you. All right, in crisis planning in chapter 2, this is the history that since the ESSA Act of 2016, almost every state has to have a plan and a crisis policy. The administrator is the one who updates this plan and sets aside time, money, and personnel to develop and refine the policies and procedures. An effective plan includes strategies to address the situation long-term and short-term for the health and needs of the students, faculty, and the families. We want to reunite the students as quickly as possible and when it's safe to do so. So it is really important. I mean, we've seen this in many of the school shootings where the parents are very, very scared and outside, but we want to make sure it's safe getting them from that point and that they have, gotten the shooter before we start moving. We want to keep the school and community well informed, but we don't want to give out too much information. That's important too. And there's a whole policy and procedure as to giving that effective communication. When do we put it on social media? The school, we don't want anyone to, misinform the community. I have been watching the new documentary for Katrina. This comes up a lot where there was a lot of misinformation that was given during that time. And people were making it seem as though the families were going and looting and tearing up the place when they would just wanted basic needs. They wanted water, they wanted new shoes, they wanted new clothes and family because everything was destroyed and they were walking in water for hours and hours, water that was 6 to 7 feet high. So it's important that people know. And then, like, some people were stuck on roofs with guns and they were shooting at the helicopters, but they were shooting to say, we're over here. This is where the shots are coming from. But people said they were shooting at them to harm them. So then the helicopters stopped coming around to pick them up off of the roof. So what came out of it was that, the shooting was they were saying, hey, and they were on the phone with someone saying, we're over here. But then when the shooting started, people just kind of left them on the roofs. Returning to school, it's a normal routine. So we have to have a timetable and a goal, just like we did with COVID. We kind of listened and we had a whole team that was part of the COVID team. Was anybody part of their COVID team? Anybody have experience with that? Yeah, I was too. So I never stopped going to work. I went to work every single day. We were in head to suit gear, like we were in the hospitals, and passing out computers, bringing the families up, passing out food. We were also answering the phones daily. Um, so every day was a new day as we got the new procedures from the state, when we could open, when we could close. So you were just there all the time. We have to provide psychological and physical supports for those that were affected. I mean, I spent many nights. I mean, that was the first time that I think that I was 24/7 trying to, because you get these Bloxy alerts from kids looking up things, and you had to call home, make sure the kids were safe, make sure the family was safe, because they weren't able to come out. You weren't seeing them physically. So you're trying to get online with them to make sure that if they needed support, that they would call 911, that they had a number that they could call if they needed some support. So I remember us just being 24/7. You just wake up and you just constantly getting a Bloxy alert at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and making sure that everyone was okay. So we have to screen those affected by the events and provide support. Like I was just saying with COVID, we need to eliminate, reduce, or address the ongoing threat to individuals at school. So making sure that we reduce inappropriate behaviors, addressing all those behaviors, making sure that threats aren't consistently being given, that we stop any type of situation that could be occurring or that could end up being a spinoff. And then maintaining a healthy crisis response team. If I've been on the crisis response team for 5 years, I might be, and it's the 5 worst years, I might be on burnout. I might not be ready for crisis anymore. I might need to switch out and say, hey, pick somebody else. Can somebody else be in charge this time, or can somebody else be a member because I'm having my own issues? We need to use research and post-incident analysis to improve our future responses. And we need to facilitate crisis for preparation and advisory groups to meet on a regular basis to make sure that we're analyzing all of our plans. All right, so let's see. So now at this point, let's see. Okay, so I am going to share with you my plan. Let me get to it. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, so what we do is we keep our plan under the document tracking services, which is just a computerized way of saying that's where it is. Um, so here is our document tracking services. As you can see, we have our comprehensive school safety plan and data analysis. We have our school accountability report card, and we have our student plan for student achievement. Which is our SIP. So these are the three things that are updated annually. And for the comprehensive school safety plan, I'm just going to show you. Okay, so what I'm asking you to bring is view this as a PDF. And I'm just going to click on it for you real fast. So it was last reviewed in, and it goes to the school site council, and the school site council reviews all of the information on it, and then it's approved by school site council. So that's where you get your annual reviews. I just want to see how many pages this was. Okay, so ours is 161 pages. Okay. Can you guys see the comprehensive school plan? Okay, perfect. I just wanted, because I switched sections. So this is what you're looking for to bring for week 5. You want to have this in place. So the names that you see there, that's our school site council that adopted the plan. Okay. And then and that's part of the requirement because it has to be shown to the community. And it's not effective until then. And then everybody signs it. And that's just where they put all that. So that's why all the pages are there. Okay, so these are all the sections, and the sections start to highlight all the areas that we're talking about. And the and it has all of the data in there, and the laws that are there. Now I'm going to switch back to this view because this view is easier for me to move through. All right, with the table of contents. So it looks like this. The PDF ends up being all these pages together with all those check marks. So the table of contents is just the plan itself and shows you all the areas. So as you can see, the types of emergencies are listed, weapons. You try to be as comprehensive as possible. We even have opioid prevention and life-saving techniques. Okay, so that's what that looks like. And then each area, it has your crisis response team, and every year they review that section, who's in charge of what, and the principal is responsible for that. Now, some areas, even though I was just showing you, there's 46 sections, right? And in these 46 sections, the district maintains sections, most of the sections on this page, all in here. And so the district makes changes, and they make one change and it kind of goes to all of the areas. The parts that the principal maintains are the parts that talk about their site specifically. Okay? So when you're looking for that comprehensive school plan, that's what you're looking for. And it's the comprehensive school safety plan. And everyone should have it. Now I'm going to show you this is a model one. So if you were in the process, now we've done these for years, so I'm not part of that, but let's just say something changed, like we had to put COVID in there. So this is the one that kind of goes over just all the different areas that you should have, what it should be composed of, all the research, the roles. Here's the crisis team members, and so on and so forth. So there's lots of things out there that kind of teach us how to go through those processes. Now, that's for the natural disasters, the threat assessments, and whatnot. Separately, which we'll be talking about in some of our future classes, is the suicide prevention, which is part of that. And each school district is required to have a policy and procedure on suicide prevention and intervention. So that's what you're seeing now. This is our policy. So this is our policy. We review it annually. The schools, all the mental health professionals in the district are responsible for looking at it and adding changes to it. Then it goes to the lawyers and then it comes back and then it gets adopted in February. So we start this process somewhere in December where we're starting to review it, make changes to it based on circumstances that we've experienced. Like if we think that more needs to be put in there or less needs to be put in there, we do that. Okay. And then obviously COVID played a huge effect on the policy itself. And then the policy goes down to explain all of the procedures, like who, what, when, where, why, the message, the suicide, where we got our resources from, the training, who needs to be trained, when, where, more resources, the qualified employee scope of services, and then I want to get to the actual preparation, student preparation, intervention, assessment, referral, who does it, when it's distance learning, what happens, asynchronous, which we had to add over the years, and then the parents, guardians, the students, the notification. So we look at this annually as well. Okay, so those are two separate things. This is another district requirement that every school district is mandated to have in the state of California. Okay, and I wanted to show you ASCA. So this is our school counseling role as the crisis response team member, what our ASCA position is, the reason, the rationale, and what our school counselor's role is. Okay? All right. Okay. Any questions about the overview of crisis intervention and prevention?
Just
All
a
right, so
question,
yeah,
if we don't have it on a website, I know we have a
we have a
binder.
binder.
Okay.
You do. We print out that binder too. It's just
Okay.
we went to tracking our stuff, and because if the binder gets lost or somebody takes it, then you're starting from scratch. But if it's online and where other people keep it, then it just kind of it's a constant reference. So when it's lost or damaged, maybe the school burned down, you know. So now you don't have to worry about that. It's not, you can't grab it and just reprint it.
Yeah, the admin has like all of it, like the thicker binder, and then in the classrooms they have the smaller binders, just like
Yeah.
what they need. Okay.
And each district will look different. I mean, each district will look different. Okay. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for
But
and where it could possibly be.
we have
Go
to
ahead.
bring a digital copy of it in for class number 5, you said, right?
Right. So that's where you're going to start asking your questions. I'm just showing you what you're looking for.
Okay.
Okay. I'm showing you what you're looking for. And like I said, because I am a crisis team member, obviously I have access to it. Everybody won't have access to that. So with me, I would have provided for one of my interns if need be. And I would have said, okay, here it is. I'm going to download the PDF and I'm going to send it to you. Right. And then that's how that person would have it, because any other way they wouldn't have it. You can ask, oh, is there any way I can borrow this temporarily? Is there any way, just for my class or something to that nature? If it's already printed, or they say, oh, I can get you a copy, or I'll email you a copy, either way. Okay. But just so you know what you're looking for that particular assignment. And like I said, it should be 161 pages is kind of a little bit more excessive, but you saw the table of contents and what you're looking for. Like you want all those specific areas. And if you don't have it, that's okay. Like what if you saw like 10 of those areas, but mine had 28? What would you say about that? You're missing some stuff, right? Potentially. So, not that it's not wrong, that it's wrong. It's just like, oh, wow, professor showed me one with all of this, but we only have this much. There's a question I'm already posing. What's the difference? Why so much? Are they not concerned with active shooters? Are they not concerned? You know what I mean? That's where the question starts to happen. Are they aware? Are we prepared? Are we not prepared? Do we think it's not going to happen to us? I'm sure we all thought COVID wasn't going to happen, right? So those are the questions we're starting to generate for ourselves. Even if it's not that the district is behind or wrong or this, it's just, okay, wow, they're looking at all these items. Should we be also? Or should this particular district be in its location and where it is? All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it so far. So, everyone take a look at your groups. And at the very least, in the chat right now, send something to your group, like if you already have your email addresses, that's fine, because I know you guys have been in the cohort together. But I know Anne said she's new to the cohort, so she might need, if you guys can start texting her or exchanging telephone numbers where you can text to start meeting for your group project, because the sooner you get a Google slide going, the faster you guys can get started and say, okay, I'm doing slides 5 through 8. You do 5 through 10, and you do 10 through 20. And, because you're going to do that many, there's 4 of you in each group, about 20 slides. So everybody should be doing about 5 slides. Who's going to go on what order, and putting that together to analyze the case study. So you want to take a look at your case studies that you were assigned to, which is also on that list. And I said in my welcome video that you need your book. So if you haven't gotten your book and you're waiting on your book, make sure that at least you get the case studies from a friend. Can you copy me those case studies real fast so that you can be aware and that you can start to work on that. And then once you get a Google slide going and share it with everyone can edit and you guys can start moving that around real fast and deciding on who's going to present what. Any other questions or concerns?
Some of the other instructors have given us like a few minutes in a breakout room to talk.
I'll do that too, okay. But I just wasn't going to, it's 7:21 right now. So at the very least, I just wanted you guys to communicate with each other so you can get started. And then during our live 3 session, I'll do a little bit of lecturing on the topic and then maybe show a video or two and then give you that time to work on the slides. I mean, it's a Google slide and presentation. It's a little easier than writing a whole paper or doing, because my last class it was a paper and lesson plan. So a little bit more intense, more writing, more conversation needed. So, like I said, make sure that everybody has access to the case studies. If someone has a book and someone else doesn't, at least print out the case studies for them so that it doesn't prohibit them from participating and then until their book arrives and so that you guys can have a healthy conversation. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your ears tonight. I hope it was enough information for you. And I will see you week 3 during our live session. You can take a look at my instructor's video for week 2. Start working on your assignments for week 2. And like I said, during week 3 live session, we will have time for you guys to meet in your groups, in your breakout groups. Rebecca?
Thank you. Would it be possible to leave it open just a few minutes longer so I can ask Latasha a question after we're done with class? Is that okay if we just
sure.
talk real quick? Okay.
Can you just real quick, because I think I'm still really confused on the dates for assignments. Can you just, or are they on the actual assignments?
They're on the assignments.
Okay.
You can see them on the assignments.
Okay.
The only reason why you got confused was because you got a notification based on what I put in there. I put to send the notification on the wrong date, but every other notification has its correct due date. So you're going to get on your Canvas, you have an assignment due. Okay, so the only reason why you're confused is because you've got that already and nothing is due. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. I'm going to stop recording and like I said, this will be up